Hello humans, Retro Rocket Man back again with yet another video. This time around I'm going to be making a road base display base from some polystyrene. It's some packaging that came with a washing machine, just some leftover rubbish. It's about 20mm thick, or around about 3/4 of an inch, so it's nice and solid, not too flexible. I'm going to start by using a finishing compound, a plaster compound, and I'm going to mix it up a bit and add some sand just to give it a bit of a gritty feel to it. I don't want it to be perfectly smooth. So I'm just going to keep adding it to my liking until I get the right consistency and hopefully the right grittiness. Once I've done that, I'm just going to simply trowel it on, spread it over the surface of the polystyrene, and in the end it should give me a nice road look finish. It's going to take a fair bit of smoothing out, getting it on there and then making sure it's of a relatively even consistency, even though I'm going to be weathering it up and cracking it and making it look like it's got potholes and things, just to give a lot more interest and texture. So this part of the process is a bit fiddly, pretty laborious, but it all pays off in the end. So I'm just using a old gift card just to smooth it out. Going lightly with it just to give it a nice even coverage, and there you go. It doesn't look like a piece of polystyrene anymore. It's been top coated and rendered. Smoothing so I get it just right. And after all that, now I'm going to be drawing cracks in it. Just random cracks to show age and weather. It's been neglected, this road surface. It looks a lot more interesting, in my opinion. And just a nice, smooth, even road. Here in Australia, we're used to cracks in roads and potholes, so I'm just doing what I know. Just smoothing out very, very lightly all the raised edges from the tool that I use to make the cracks, just to soften them down a tad. And now I'm just going in with a bit more detail work. Just very random. You can do this as much or as little as you like. It's entirely up to you. Just taking out little bits here and there to make the potholes. Certainly going to give this road surface some character. Once that's perfectly dried, going to give it a bit of a spray job. First off, I'm going to just hit the edges of the base with some flat black, just to obviously disguise the fact that it is polystyrene. It's always a good idea to do this stuff outside where you've got plenty of ventilation. Next up, I'm going to be hitting the road surface with a flat grey primer, just to try and replicate that asphalt / concrete type finish that you see on most roads. Now that that's dried, I'm bringing it back inside and I'm going to give it a further weathering with some liquid black shoe polish. I'm just going to liberally brush this all over, getting into all the cracks that I made and the potholes to make it really stand out. Just brush it on. Go slap happy with it. There's no right or wrong way to do this, just so long as you get it covered and get into all those cracks and holes. Then once you get it to a certain level, just rag off the excess. You can either dab it, wipe it, whatever sort of look you're after. Once it's dried, I'm just going to clean it up a bit further with a scouring sponge and hot water. Just going easy, I'm not going too hard because I don't want to run the risk of taking the paint back off as well. It's just to tone it down a bit. And then once that's dry, I'm now going over it with a dry brush and a lighter grey, just to try and catch those edges and give it a bit more texture, a bit more interest, a bit more weathering. The dry brush effect just gives it a higher level of realism. And then after that, I'm just going in with some more intense areas, just lightly touching off with the brush, just to give it even more interest and more levels of dimension. Now it's time to put down my yellow lines. So I'm taping off certain areas and then I'm just brushing on a bright yellow. This will take about 3 coats till we get the solid colour that I want. So in between coats, I'm just going to dry it with a hairdryer, so I don't have to wait around too long for it to dry, speed up the process. And of course I'll repeat this twice and have a total of 3 coats. Topping it off with the final coat now. And now just peeling it off to reveal the line underneath. I don't care that the edges might be a bit feathered because I want this to look rough anyway, because this is a weathered road, neglected. And while it's still a bit tacky, I'm just scraping it back on those edges just to show a bit more weathering, a bit more wear and tear. Now it's time to put down another strip of tape, this time one that I've trimmed because the lines are going to be closer together, and repeat the process for the second line, exactly as I did the first. So as you can see here, it's pretty much done. The road's nice and cracked and weathered, the lines are also weathered, they've been neglected, and it's shown a bit of time and age. For the opposite corner, I want to put down some sand edging, so I'm just using some PVA glue. I'm just going to brush that into the corner. Pretty simple really. I'm just going to create the opposite edge of the road. So brush it over, get some clean sand, and just sprinkle it on so you get the desired coverage you want, and you'll have to let that dry. Once that's dry, I'm brushing on some more PVA in the corner, but not all the way over the sand, and I'm going to sprinkle on some synthetic fake grass and apply it the same way I did the sand, just to create another edge. And again, you just sprinkle it on until you get the coverage you want. Dab it in with your finger as you go. I've also sprinkled a bit of sand into the potholes, glued them in as well, just to make it look like they've been filled with wind-blown sand. So there it is, humans. This is my road base, display base, made from polystyrene, some old packaging from a washing machine. It's nice and thick, so it's not as flexible, so it shouldn't break when you handle it. It's a neglected road surface and it's come up pretty good, I reckon. I'm rather happy with this one too. You can just display just about anything you want, like your Batmobiles or other vehicles, anything that sort of fits the scale. This is Retro Rocket Man, humans. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Over and out.